Welcome everyone back to weekly weather updates, and in today's video we're going to have a look at the latest from the live radar, run through the weather warnings as we actually have a warning in a few days time for rain for Northern Ireland, as we are going to see a return to some stormier unsettled conditions as we start the next working week. We can already see on the live radar heavier rain out to the southwest. It's going to make very slow progress over the next 24 hours or so, but eventually when it does push through for many through the rest of Sunday into Monday, it will then reintroduce very strong westerly winds. So have a look at that on the latest from the UKV. You look at the precipitation and the temperature. Also have a look at some of the wind gusts. As a couple of days ago, it was really lively from the UKV. It died down a little bit yesterday, but it has livened up a little bit again in today's run. We're looking at sort of 50-60 mile per hour gusts in places. Again, probably wouldn't warrant a named storm status, but could warrant yellow warnings for wind quite widely, potentially across England and Wales. And then we'll have a look at the longer range, where of course there is a huge amount of uncertainty. Still quite a few runs showing milder southwesterlies, but equally still plenty of runs showing higher pressure moving in, some blocking patterns, colder, frostier, dry conditions prevailing. So we'll have a look at that in the second half of the video. So do remember, if you enjoy my videos, make sure you like and subscribe, and remember to follow me on Twitter as well. The link's in the description. Now, if you start on the live radar, you can see it's a cold, dry, frosty day today for many. So as I said this morning, lots of frost in places, but we are now starting to see cloud and rain moving from the southwest. Ahead of it though, still very dry conditions with a few showers across Scotland, but most other areas it's been blue skies, pretty stunning conditions today, and potentially there's more of that to come in the longer term. But for now, we are going to be bringing rain and cloud back in. Now, to look at the temperatures through this afternoon, it is pretty chilly still out there as the sun is setting as I'm recording this video. Lots of blues around, indicating temperatures struggling around the high single digits, maybe just about double digits in a few areas, and even over higher ground. Really struggling above the low single digits through much of northern England and Scotland there. Now, if you look at the latest weather warnings, you can see we've got this yellow rain warning issued for Monday across parts of Northern Ireland from 3 a.m. until 2 p.m. There is the potential to see more warnings issued in the next sort of 24 to 48 hours, as it is going to be pretty lively through Monday and Tuesday. Here, heavy rain is likely to affect parts of Northern Ireland during Monday. Higher impact, low end of the likelihood scale. We could see up to 40 millimetres. Again, pretty vague warning at this stage. No major detail, as things still could change. So we will of course update this over the next couple of days, as we'll likely see more warnings issued and we see more certainty with what is going on. Now, if you look at the latest UKV, you can see it's been a dry day today, plenty of sunshine, but the cloud and rain is starting to push in tonight. It makes very slow progress, really only moving into Republic of Ireland, southern Wales and southwest England overnight, fizzling away through the morning, but eventually we see more rain clear northwards and eastwards over the next 12 hours or so through the day. And by sunset, starting to give heavier rain further eastwards. Eventually does progress through, and then look, it unlocks the door for heavy thundery showers progressing further westwards. And look at that, lots of heavy rain moving in, and this is why we could see more weather warnings issued through Monday for very heavy rain and strong gusty winds, even some squally features developing within that. Through Monday afternoon into Tuesday, more heavier showers developing, and again, really quite unsettled, gusty winds, and generally pretty cool as well. And that does continue through much of the working week, and again, more heavy rain in the south, before it could settle down towards the latter part of next working week into the weekend. And this is where we could see frostier, colder conditions return again. Now, if you look at the wind gusts, you can see nothing too crazy, but as we head into Monday, you'll see there is the risk of it increasing quite substantially. Look at this, as we head through Monday afternoon, seeing a wide area of 50 to 60 mile per hour wind gusts, even relatively far inland. And that, as I said, could cause some issues, unlikely to be named, but could see yellow warnings issued for wind here. We have seen lots of variability from the UKV. As said 2 days ago, it was showing extreme wind gusts, 100 mile per hour wind gusts out to sea. Yesterday, it was showing literally nothing, and and today it is now showing 50, 60 mile per hour, so it's all over the place, so we can't really say with much certainty what is going to happen, but as we get closer to the event, it looks like it's going to be a stormy period, but nothing too ridiculous. Now, temperatures are going to be pretty cool. You see early this morning, quite a big frost developing in northern and western areas, and again, there could be another frost tonight. Daytime temperatures said struggling into the high single digits, and overnight tonight could see a frost for much of northern England, Scotland, and there's the risk across central and eastern England, but it's all dependent on how quickly that cloud from the southwest moves in. Through tomorrow afternoon, many areas to the north and east of that rain. It's going to be cold still, 7 to 9 degrees at best. And then eventually, as that cloud and rain moves in, it will bring higher temperatures into Monday, maybe 13 to 15 degrees through the lunchtime period, but it's going to be pretty temporary as it is all associated with a warm sector. And then as we get into Tuesday, again, we're back down more towards average here with 11 to 13 degrees at best. Again, feeling cold under cloud and rain. Wednesday, again, we're looking at maybe 9 to 12. And again, another colder night coming in for Thursday. And I said latter part of next week could turn cold once again. Now, if we do have a look at the latest GFS, the 12 o'clock run is now just coming out, only out to 270 hours, but sometimes it is pretty irrelevant looking beyond 270 hours because it is flip-flopping so frequently. You can see low pressure continues coming off the Atlantic over the coming days. Cumulus very unsettled, and then we can see potentially another deep low moving in there for Thursday to Friday. But look, into next weekend, we see high pressure moving in. Now, there is a lot of uncertainty where this does go. Here, it pushes in, tries to actually pull up a southerly wind before eventually getting broken down. And towards day 10, we actually see high pressure build over the top of us, out to our northeast, pushing in a slack easterly flow. And actually, underneath it's relatively chilly air. So we're looking at frost and fog with this. Do look out to our east, though. If this high pressure was shifted northwards and westwards, there's a big cold pool, or at least relatively big cold pool for this time of year, out to our east, pushing extremely cold air into Eastern Europe. Look at the potential equivalent temperature, big cold blast, and the temperature deviation. You see these darker purples indicating it is 10 to 12 degrees below average, well out to our east. Again, not coming our way, but just showing you that that cold air is around, and we are likely to see some ensemble members drag some of that cold air in as this high pressure system builds in. So you can see it's variable, but high pressures and blocking building it into the longer term. Nothing crazy at this stage, but it could bring very cold air for other areas across Europe, and in turn, it could turn us a bit colder as well. If you look at the GEM, see how that does compare. Again, unsettled over the next few days as low pressure continues to come off the Atlantic. Next weekend, high pressure built in, but differently to the GFS, the Euro high actually hangs on instead of losing its intensity like the GFS does, and actually drags up a very warm southerly wind. So look at this, complete opposite to the GFS. Very similar pattern, but complete opposite outcome with very warm, muggy, southerly wind. I must say, though, the pressure pattern does look very weird as we've got this high pressure up towards Greenland, high pressure across Europe, and sort of low pressure sandwiched within it. The most likely scenario here is for that higher pressure to lose its southerly flow, so get to cut off that southerly wind and drag in more of a northerly or easterly eventually because of the higher pressure towards Greenland. But at this stage, we can't look at that as that will be, around the day 10 to day 15 period. But really, really interesting blocking patterns appearing there from the GM. Again, I have to keep a very close eye on it. Some runs have, as I said, been going very mild, but others have been going very cold. Just showing you that it's all up in the air. If you look at the latest ECMWF, just to see how that does compare, again, low pressure coming off the Atlantic, eventually high pressure built in towards next weekend, but doesn't hold on at all, and instead low pressure actually replaces it by the early part of the next working week with average sort of air masses and general westerly wind. Again, there is that Atlantic ridging that is trying to develop up towards Greenland, but at this stage it's nowhere near strong enough to say exactly what will happen with that. So all three runs broadly having the same sort of breakout over the next 10 days, but with vastly different outcomes depending on that exact wind direction, which is all dependent on the strength of the high pressure and low pressure orientations. So you can see that we're fairly certain we're going to see some ridging of higher pressure. We're going to see some sort of blocking pattern develop, but what sort of pattern what sort of surface level pattern it develops, what sort of surface level air, wind direction, and of course whether it will rain or be dry. We can't say for certain probably for another good few days, and unfortunately that's pretty much what I've been saying for the last couple of days. So it has been very, very frustrating seeing not much certainty and not much sort of reconciliation from these runs. The ensembles are not much better. If we have a look at the latest GFS for London, 12 o'clock run hasn't fully come out, so we'll have a look at the 6 o'clock run, and again you can see the huge amount of spread. Slightly above average as we head into early next week, but that's really down to warmer sectors associated with lower pressure, and then it trends below average for the end of next working week into next weekend as we see colder, dry conditions build in. Then we see a push of warmer air for a couple of days before it descends back towards average, and from about the 20th of November onwards, we've got some very cold runs appearing down towards the -5 level, mild runs appearing, very mild runs, 5 to +10. Precipitation is still relatively high though in the longer term, which is definitely suggesting that the high pressure is unlikely to be sat over the top of us, either to our northeast, to our northwest, or even to our southeast, dragging up southwesterly winds. So although the GEM did pull up high pressure over the top of us, directly over the top of us, this sort of pattern is making it pretty abundantly clear from the ensembles that it is unlikely to play out like that, and more likely the high pressure is going to be near us, but low pressure is probably going to be over the top of us. And we can see that from the sea level pressure, because the pressure actually drops in the longer term. There are some higher pressure members, but the majority are more towards the lower pressure spectrum, so definitely suggesting high pressure blocking around, but we're going to be sat under lower pressure, or wherever the lower pressure gets trapped. TB's temperatures are definitely descending slightly higher in the next couple of days, 13, 14 degrees potentially on Monday, dropping through the week, slight bump as we see another milder air mass move in, and then sliding once again. And by the end of the month, we're looking really around 7 or 8 degrees, even not with any especially cold air masses predicted at this stage, 7 or 8 degrees at best. Now, if we do finish by looking at the latest ECMWF, again, we'll have to look at the midnight run as the other runs haven't fully come out. You can see, again, very similar pattern over the next week with up and down from temperatures through this upcoming working week. And then we see a bump in those upper air temperatures towards sort of 8-9 days' time. And then we see another drop where it's generally around average, but we've got some very cold runs and some very mild runs. So actually, it's a carbon copy, really, of the GFS ensemble members in terms of trends. And you can see longer term precipitation is still pretty high, and the sea level pressure is also dropping slightly. There are maybe some more higher pressure runs in the longer term, but it's still not, enough confidence to say that's going to happen for certain. So we've still got high variability. The only certainty we do have is that high pressure is going to make some sort of resurgence as we head through the middle to latter part of the month. Whether it's going to produce anything cold, whether it's going to produce anything mild, or whether it actually produces anything dry at all, or whether it just traps low pressure over the top of us, we can't say for certain at this stage, but it's going to be intriguing to watch what is happening. What is going to happen, as I do suspect we will continue to see some quite wacky runs, some very cold runs, some very mild runs, and it is all going to make things very interesting as we do progress to the end of the month. I must stress, though, the long-term patterns, the monthly trend patterns from all the long-term models over the past few days and the past couple of weeks have all suggested a generally westerly start to winter, which is why, yes, blocking could be making an influence for a time, but I think it is unlikely to produce anything major at this stage unless we saw something drastically change in those long-term outlooks. For sort of wintry weather, if you're looking forward to that over the next sort of few months or so, definitely looking New Year beyond. And that's a little bit of a sneak preview for the winter, the next winter update that is going to be probably coming out through this upcoming working week, as the latest Copernicus data is now released or is being released, and we'll be reviewing that over the next few days, ready for that video probably on Wednesday, which will be very interesting to see if it does continue to back up what we have suggested throughout this sort of autumn so far. So anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you have enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you again for another video soon.